morning. My name is Pat Callahan, and I am one of the trustees of the Unitarian Universalist Church in Springfield, Vermont. We welcome you to this virtual Unitarian Universalist Sunday meeting. For over 200 years, we have been preaching love and the free and responsible search for truth and meaning. We envision a better and kinder world. We welcome all people who wish to join us in fulfilling this vision. Guests, please enjoy meeting with us. Thank you.
And here are the words for lighting the chalice. Sharon's going to light the chalice for us. Our words are from Ken Wilber. There is a way out, but really, the way out is a way within. There is a way out, but the way out is really a way within. The words of Ken Wilber. Welcome, dear friends, to this magical room. Bring your cocoa, your blankie, settle comfy on Zoom. Adjust your dial settings, you're in for a treat, all cozy and warm. Lift your world-weary feet. Here we are in this wonderful season, this holiday season, this 2-week period. We started with the solstice into Christmas and New Year's, and we're about to hit the Epiphany. This 2-week period, more or less, where the earth is in a pause between fall and winter, the onset of winter, and where we get to pause as well as the earth is in its pause. And we get to go deeper, dive deeper, and look within ourselves. I hope that you have been enjoying this holiday season. I hope that you've taken advantage of this magical time of the year to be with your own self and listen to the message of your own heart. And we will be finishing this 2-week period of the holiday season. It ends, in the Christian tradition, it ends, of course, with Epiphany. It ends with the Magi, sometimes called the three kings, but they weren't kings, they were wise men. They were Zoroastrians. They came from the east, and they were looking, they knew, they read the signs, that great star. They saw the great star that we all saw, didn't we? Just last week. They saw the great star, and they knew it led them to an important person who was making his entree into the world. And in Christmas Eve, we expanded that it's not just the birth of Jesus that matters, and it certainly did. It's the birth of all of us. Each of us is an emanation from the divine. Each of us is here for a reason, and each of us has gifts to give. We sometimes get lost. We lose our way a bit. But the holiday season now is a time to come back and remember. So let's sing that Epiphany song, We Three Kings, and move ourselves along in this holiday season. Thanks, Julaine.
We three kings of Orient are, bearing gifts we traverse afar. Hill and mountain, moor and mountain, following yonder star. perfect night. Frankincense to offer have I, incense to deity mine. Prayers and praising all are raising, worship God Most High. Oh, star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty bright, westwardly still proceeding, guide us through this perfect night. Born a babe on Bethlehem's plain, though I read to crown him again. Love for us ceasing never, in our hearts to reign. Oh, star of wonder, star of light, star with royal beauty bright, westwardly still proceeding, guide us through this perfect night.
Whoville Big Brain Creative Idea Emporium. How may we assist you today, who sir or who madam?
This is the Grinch, old TARDIS old pal. Cindy Lou Who is with me, my favorite Who gal.
Glad we got to the root of your stress and your strife. You stole one Christmas and you got labeled for life. Nice to finally meet you, my dear Cindy Lou. I've been a big fan since who knows who.
Cindy Lou Who is that Who daughter who got out of bed for that fateful cup of water. She was no more than 2 all those decades ago. With her big batting eyes, she stole the whole show. Cindy knew the aha when I came to my senses. From that moment on, my kind life commenced. My heart grew more than 3 sizes that day. I opened my eyes and I found a new way. My whole heart was changed in a cinch. I was no longer that sour-faced, grouchy old Grinch. Cindy Lou Who is here to help us figure what to do. She's my BFF and my most far favorite Who. We do biking and baking, and making Who stew. And believe it or not, now she's 62. She lives with her goats in the shires of Vermont. She is who she is, and she aren't who she aren't.
Well, if you remember a few weeks ago on that past Solstice Eve night, we grokked what was needed to set things aright. You needed a new name. It was as simple as that. Time to put on a new name, just like a new hat.
I'm Cindy Lou Who, and I'm now 62. I fell on the ice and know not what to do. So I called my smart friends, Thing 1 and Thing 2. I explained our dilemma to each little fellow. They listened real hard, and their minds went a-racing. They said, the Grinch's name really does need replacing. Surely Grinch number 2 will not do, since when people hear Grinch, they will just hiss and boo. So we need a new name that will say he's turned good, and his life is now spent spreading kindness and cheer. So let's name the Grinch Great Hope, my dear. The grace starts like Grinch, but hope lets us know that since Grinch's heart has grown, so the world's might grow too. That's all for now, my friend Cindy Lou Who.
Well, on this, we all clearly agreed. A new name is just exactly the right need. We solicited suggestions from all of your fans. We made a name contest and made it just grand. We solicited suggestions from all of your fans. To the studio audience, we beseechingly turned. From all of you out there, your input we yearned. You sent us your monikers and applications. To the formerly Grinch, you sent new name designations. You sent in your ideas by chat box or fax. You sent them by email, by snail mail, by yaks. We thank you sincerely for your kindly creations. Your ideas are much needed reputation curations. In the chat box is a summary of all the submissions, and it's never too late for that last minute additions. Let me read them aloud to charm of your ears. Which of these names will help us really switch gears and sing out the song of this dear, kindly soul? With which of these names will we reach us our goal? The first suggestion was from Gabe and Leah. Gareth, which means gentle, modest, or brave. And from Seth and Erica, Siddhuda Hutama, the Buddha, or the Greech. Smizlina is ice cream in Slovak. Someone suggested Cutie Pie or Mr. Green. Prince, the artist formerly known as Grinch. From Steve and Laurel, Marshmallow. Or from Lindsay, Save Your Soul. Other suggestions, the fabulous Finch, or Snowdrift, or Grinch 2.0, or the Grin, Jubilation, New Grinch, Grinch Co. for change of heart, Afghan, the artist formerly known as Grinch, and from Cindy Lou Who, Grace Hope. All the suggestions now you have heard. By which one are you the most stirred? Let's narrow it down to the top 5. Chatbox us. That's right. Your input is live. Chatbox the 5 that you like the best. We'll narrow it down and leave all the rest. We'll need time to tally up your vote makers. We'll return in a few to share the top takers.
My Grinch friend is sweet and so thoughtful, so the new name has to be warmly and heartful. It's true that my chum, he was a late bloomer. That doesn't diminish his cheer and good humor. He needs a name with a shine and a glow, a name with ease and with beauty and flow.
So chatbox the 5 that you like the best. We'll narrow it down and leave all the rest. We'll need a time to tally up your vote makers. We'll return in a few to share the top takers.
So how about you? How about you? In this time of Epiphany, in this time of this great celebration, an opportunity to go inside and really look at who you are and what you're all about. We have a beautiful song from the hymnal, which is a New Year's Day song, which invites us to enter this pause and to let ourselves be lifted beyond the ordinary. So let's sing together the ceaseless flow of endless time with Julane's lead, and you're welcome to continue entering your favorites into the chat box.
The ceaseless flow of endless time, no one can check or stay. We'll view the past with no regret, nor future with dismay. The present slips into the past, and dream like melts away. The breaking of tomorrow's dawn begins anew today. The past and future ever meet in the eternal dawn, to make each day a thing complete shall be our New Year vow.
Please join me now in our affirmation. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve the needs of all beings, to the end that all shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with the source of our being. We just sang those beautiful words. The past and future ever meet in the eternal now. To make each day a thing complete shall be our New Year's vow. The eternal now. So much of our time, we are not actually in the present moment. We're thinking about the past and what happened and what should have happened, what shouldn't have happened. Or we're thinking about the future and what we're anxious about and what we're thinking about. But the only now we have is now. This is it, this moment. And when we're really present in this moment, we can have new thoughts. New things can happen. There's great possibility. And this holiday season is an opportunity to slow down and be present. Be really right here, not thinking about the past, not anxious moving into the future, but actually be here. The eternal now. And in the eternal now, that's where things can really happen. So I want to invite you to a time of meditation and prayer. And if you find it helpful, you can use your breath as an anchor. The mind tends to wander around and go to all kinds of places, into the past, into the future. How do you stay in the present, in the eternal now? The breath. The breath can be an anchor. So I want to invite us into a time of silence and meditation, where we do our best to just be in the present moment. And when your mind wanders to the past or the future or whatever, bring your mind gently back to your breath. No judgment about yourself that your mind is all over the place. We're all like that. Just gently bring yourself back to the present moment, to your breath. So let's have some time of silence as we enjoy our own breath and practice being in the present moment, which is where things can really happen. And to help us deepen our time of meditation, let us listen to that beautiful piece that we heard a few weeks ago, the radiance that can fill our spirits. Go for it, Julaine.
Oh, sweet radiant mystery, set us free from that which binds, beckoning the soul to oh, sweet radiant mystery, open our eyes to see beyond that which hides the soul from light. Oh, sweet radiant mystery, set us free from that which binds, beckoning the soul to see oh, sweet radiant mystery, open our eyes to see that which hides oh, sweet radiant mystery, help us hear the endless song of all that is and was and is and was and is and was and is and all that is and was and is and was and is and was and is and
Thank you so much to the Julaine and the whole choir that put that together. It's magical. I love that piece. I'm sure we're going to enjoy it again and again. So, the power of Epiphany. There was an Epiphany story very recently. Deb, could you spotlight me? Thanks. There was a Epiphany story very recently in the college basketball world. If some of you were following the Florida Gators forward, Keontae Johnson, he collapsed on the floor on December 12th in the middle of a game, a Florida State game, and he needed emergency attention right away, just fell right down. His teammates were startled, and he was hospitalized. He's 6.5 feet and almost 300 pounds, all muscle, amazing man. And everyone was very distressed. And the next day, an announcer said over the air, "It's going to be a very long road to recovery. This is just awful, and we don't know what's going on." He had COVID, a positive COVID test some months before. Very distressing. But then 10 days later, just 10 days after his collapse, his family posted online, "We continue to be amazed at the pace of his recovery, and we are looking forward to spending Christmas together as a family." And indeed, he was released from the hospital, spent Christmas with his family, and on December 28th, just last week, just slightly more than 2 weeks after that dramatic collapse, he's back with the team. And his coach, Mike White, says Keontae is coaching now. He's not playing, he's coaching. And he's helping scout for new talent. He's refereeing the scrimmage games, and he is all enthusiastic, back at it as much as his doctors will allow him. An incredible turnaround. And Keontae himself, he gave a short interview, and he thanked everyone for their prayers and their support and his amazing, amazing turnaround. And he says this, "God ain't done with me yet." And he gave this piece of advice: write your own story. Keontae Johnson says to all of us, write your own story. The announcer and so many people were ready to write a story about him. "Oh, it's going to be a terribly long recovery, and this is so terrible, and oh, will he ever play again, and blah, 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 blah." He's playing. He's in recovery. He's fine. He's coaching. He's having a great life. He didn't let other people's stories about him form who he was. He wrote his own story. It's so easy to get caught in the past of who we were, like the Grinch. It's so easy to get caught in other people's ideas of who we can be or who we are or what is possible. I remember years ago, I was seeing a counselor, and I had a disappointment. I was so unhappy. And I said to the counselor, "I'm disillusioned." And the counselor said, "Good, I'm glad you're disillusioned." And I was just like, "What?" And she said, "Yeah, if you're an illusion, you might as well get out of it, right?" That was an aha moment for me. A small one. I mean, ahas come in big, 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 like the Grinch's aha. Or they come in smaller ones, like that one for me. So now if I hear myself say, "Oh, this is disillusioning," I think, great. I didn't want to live in an illusion anyway. I want to live in illumination rather than illusion. So how about you? Are there places in your life where you have felt disillusioned this year? Great. That sounds a little harsh, but great. Come into the truth. Illusions are small places where we are out of touch with our power, out of touch with the truth. And when we let go of our illusions and we are illuminated, we are raised up and we can see things from a new perspective. When we're caught and down, we can't see much, but when we get lifted up, and sometimes we are lifted up quite suddenly. The literature is full of great boom illuminations. Saul in the gospel, who was a persecutor of Jesus, on the road to Damascus, bam, hit by a bolt of light, fell off his steed, went blind, and for several days he was out of commission. And when he came back, he realized, persecuting this wonderful human, this Jesus fellow, I had no right to do that. What was I up to? And he changed his whole life around, and he became probably one of the greatest advocates for the teachings of Jesus. The big, big, big ones, the big ahas, and the small ones, they all matter. the Grinch's aha in that Christmas day. And in a few minutes, we will sing that song, Amazing Grace. And that's a song of an aha. If you know the story behind that, it was John Newton, who had been working on ships, slave ships, and he had become he was working on a slave ship at that time, and they were in this terrible storm. It was so bad they actually had to tie themselves to the mast, to the steering wheel, so as to be able to not be thrown off. He was not the captain at that time. He was working, an employee on one of the slave ships, and he was a really rough guy, kind of nasty, sounds like, vulgar, no faith, and actually made fun of people who had faith. But that storm really shook him. And from that time on, he started reading scripture a little bit, and he started thinking, what's really going on in life? And for him, it wasn't like Saul on the road to Damascus. It wasn't a big aha, boom, on change. It was a gradual thing. He became eventually a captain of a ship, and he was a captain of slave ships for a few years after that time on this storm. But eventually, he's kept reading scripture, and he started hanging out with some abolitionists, and he was like, what am I doing? How can I do this? And so it was a gradual process for him. He gave it up. And he actually became a minister, and he became an abolitionist, and he became a fighter for that cause. So epiphanies, they come in all shapes and sizes. And they all matter, because what they do is they bring us into that present moment. What we were just singing about in the ceaseless flow of endless time. And what we just saw visually in Radiant Mystery, they bring us into the presence of mystery. So much of our days we spend not actually being here, not actually being aware. And those boom moments wake us up and shake us and say, hey, who are you really? What are you here for? What is your life about? That's a really big question. Who are you really? Who are you really? Do you know? Are you ready to let go of the small illusions of who you are and let yourself be lifted into illumination of the truth of your greatness, your power? As we were singing about in the past few weeks, in the solstice, and Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve, and as we reflected back in the fire ceremony on what the year has been and what it might be, all opportunities to go to really listen, be present, to take it in that you are the child, you are the babe that will save humankind, you are the savior, you are the one we've been waiting for. You, not you, limited in your illusion, but you awake. When we wake up, we bring beauty to the world. We bring gifts to the world. We bring our best self forward. So these epiphanies happen that wake us up. And then what do? We go back to sleep. There's something about us humans. We have a hard time staying awake. We have a hard time living into the truth of the glory and beauty of life and ourselves. So what helps us stay awake? What helps us have these epiphanies and live into them instead of regressing? What helps us? I remember being on retreat some years ago, and my retreat guide and having epiphanies, and all of us on retreat, we were in silence, but having epiphanies. And at the end, the retreat guide saying, write it down. You're so clear right now. You've just been in silence. You've been meditating. You have this clarity. You're not going to believe me, but you're going to forget. And so the retreat guide said, write it down so you can look back and remember this clarity that you got in this sacred time. And especially now, as we go into the new year, If you're getting clarity in this holiday time that we have, don't let it slip through your fingers. Get a journal, write it down. For some folks, their epiphanies are so great that you know where they write them? On their skin. For many people, that's what a tattoo is. It's like, I had this aha and I did not want to forget what's most important in my life, and I'm going to write it on my arm so I see it every day. Maybe you're not going to write it on your arm with a tattoo, but write it down. And for some people, when they have a really big epiphany, they change their name. So they remember, I'm not that old person that I was. Yeah, I used to be grouchy and grinchy and yucky and lost and in an illusion and unhappy and blah, 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 but I'm not anymore. I need a new name so that I can remember who I am. In the Catholic tradition, when a young person goes through confirmation, they choose a new name to signify who I am becoming. And in many traditions, this is the case. In the Buddhist tradition, in the Sufi tradition, in many traditions, you have the option of choosing a new name for yourself so that you can live into it, so you don't get trapped. You know what I'm talking about? Getting trapped in old versions of yourself, old ideas of yourself. Or getting trapped in other people's versions of us. It takes courage. It takes courage when the aha you're getting is something that goes against the grain of the people around you or of tradition or of what is thought to be polite. It takes courage to do it anyway. I loved hearing that story of the basketball player, Keontae Johnson, who, against all odds, he wrote his own story of recovery and success. So how about you? Are you stuck in a story? Have you been? Have you had some lifting up and seeing with new eyes? Be sure to write it down. Are you ready for a new name? Is your aha so big that you're like, wow, I need to emblazon this on my soul forever? The Grinch surely needs it. Everyone has the Grinch stuck in that old story. So how about you? Are you stuck? How are you going to remember? What is your new name? And sometimes we have the great gift of being with people who see us even when we don't see ourselves. Here we're celebrating the Epiphany in a few days, where the Magi, the magicians, really, the wise men who came from the East, and they saw Jesus when he was a little tiny baby. They saw his greatness even then. They had the eyes, they had the wise eyes to see. It's a gift to be around these magic people who see us and hold us up and encourage us even when we don't see ourselves. So if you're lucky enough to have some magi in your life, say a special prayer of gratitude for the people who remind you of who you really are and who you can be. Unlimited. So let's pause for another minute and reflect on all of that. Are you stuck? Are you stuck? What's your new vision? Take a minute to write it down. What's your new story? What's your new name? So let's just pause and be with ourselves into our new version of ourselves. That beautiful song, Amazing Grace. Some people say it is the most sung song in America. It's sung millions of times every year, because it expresses this fundamental, this essential human experience of having been caught in an old story and by grace, by chance, by what is it that lifts us out of the old and into new possibilities. It's always there. It's always possible for us, no matter what, no matter the situation, no matter the circumstances of your life. Grace is always possible. So let's sing together Amazing Grace as we celebrate who we are becoming.
Amazing grace, how sweet the sound that saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. Was blind, but now I see. 'Twas grace that taught my heart to fear, and grace my fears relieved. How precious did that grace appear the hour I first believed. When we had 10,000 years, bright shining as the sun, we've known as days to sing God's praise. When we first begun.
Thank you. Thank you to Julaine and all the choir members for putting that together for us this past week. I'm sure that is one we will use again and again. It's one of the most foundational messages of this human experience. We can, as Keontae said, we can write our own stories. We can rename ourselves. We can live the life that we are meant to live, fulfill our dreams. So Deb and I are trying to do the polling. We have narrowed it down. I put it in the chat box. There are 6 that came up as lots of votes for these 6, and I think for we, even though we did a trial run and we thought we had this down, we can't get the Zoom poll to work. So we're going to have to do it visually. Let me say the 6. They're in the chat box. Siddhartha, which is a takeoff on Gautama the Buddha, Siddhartha instead of Siddhartha. The Fabulous Finch, The Grin, Jubilation, Gareth, and Grace Hope. Maybe I should put these once more in the chat box so everybody can see them, and I'll say them one more time, and then we'll actually take a vote. So
they are right in the chat box now already.
Okay, great. Everybody can see it. Excellent. So there they are. Now I've lost them. Here we go. Okay, I'll say them one more time. Siddhartha, The Fabulous Finch, the Grin, Jubilation, Gareth, and Grace Hope. So let's go on gallery view. We're going to have to do it this way, which is not ideal, but here we go. So you have one vote. And we have 30 people. So Seth, you've got a pirate hat on. That's great. Okay, so votes for Sidhutha. So Deb, can you help me count this, or Sharon? Sidhutha. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5. Oops, I'm confused. Okay, I think that was 5. All right, the next one is the Fabulous Finch. How about that one? I see 2, Diane and Jeff. 3, Deb, 3. Okay, and okay, 3 for the Fabulous Finch. And then the Grin. How about the Grin? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'll count my 9. It's nepotism. He's my nephew, but you know, it's a really good one. And then Grace Hope. 1, 2, 3. 3 for Grace Hope. And then Jubilation. That's a great one. Jubilation. 1 for Jubilation. That's a, you know, maybe the Grinch is going to have a middle name too. There's so many good options here. Jubilation. Gareth. How about Gareth? 1, 2, 3. 3. Gareth is 3. And then the final one is Grace Hope from Cindy Lou Who. So many good contenders. All right.
Did that one, I thought.
Say it again.
Didn't you already do Grace Hope?
Did I?
Yes.
I don't think so. Did I?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, am I out of order?
Yeah. But
I'm sorry. You're right, I did. Okay. That had, okay, so that had 3. So we've got Sidhutha at 5, the Fabulous Finch at 3, the Grin at 9, Grace Hope at 3, and Jubilation at 1. So it sounds like the Grinch's new name is the Grinch. From the Grinch to the Grin. Woo! I think it even might become a children's book. It's got potential there, doesn't it? It's lovely. It's really, really lovely. So let us think about our own new names too. And who are we becoming in this new year? Let yourself be free. Don't hold yourself back. Grin into 2021. If you have found hope here, if you have found community here, treasure it. If you have found challenge here, go and sit quietly with whatever is stirring in your own heart. And if you have found hope here, bring it out with a big grin into the beautiful world that needs you. You awake, you, your fabulous self. May it be so. Blessed be. Amen. And Sharon will extinguish the chalice and ring the bell for us.